Well, hello everyone. We're in episode 47. We'll be talking about a famous song by someone by the name of Rupert Holmes. And we're going to be doing the Escape song, and it is the Piña Colada song as well. And the Misheard song lyric for episode 47 is, "If you like being enchiladas, getting caught in the rain." Of course, correct lyrics is, "If you like piña coladas, getting caught in the rain." I love both. All right, let's talk about it. So it's actually called Escape, and then in parentheses, it's the Piña Colada song. And it is a song written and recorded by none other than Rupert Holmes for his 1979 album called Partners in Crime. That's kind of funny, too, that title works, too. Rupert Holmes actually was born David Goldstein, so he changed it to Rupert. And he was born on February 24th, 1947. He's a British American composer, singer, songwriter, musician, author. He's done it all. And he was actually originally born in Norwich, Cheshire, England. His father, Leonard Elliott Goldstein, was a U.S. Army warrant officer and band leader. Okay, so he gets some of that from his dad. And then his mother, Gwendolyn Mary, was English and also musical. So there's definitely some musicality in his family. Mr. Rupert Holmes has dual British citizenship with Britain and, let's try that again. Mr. Rupert Holmes has dual British and American citizenship. The family moved when Holmes was 6 years old to the northern New York City suburb of Nanuet, New York, where Holmes grew up and attended nearby Nyack High School and then the Manhattan School of Music, majoring in the clarinet. Who knew? And then his brother was also musically inclined. His brother Richard is the principal lyric baritone of the New York Gilbert and Sullivan Players, and he's sung many roles within the regional opera companies. Some says such as the Glimmerglass, Lake George, and Virginia Opera, and he also appeared in the Metropolitan Opera. So very, very musically inclined family. And then in 1969, Rupert Holmes married his childhood friend, Elizabeth, but she goes by Liza or Lisa Wood Dreyfus, an attorney. And he had a daughter with her, which unfortunately died suddenly in 1986 at the age of 10. Ooh, poor thing, of an undiagnosed brain tumor. And then he has two sons, Nick and Timothy, with the latter of whom has autism. So let's start talking about the album, the song, and everything you want to know about it, because I only know just enough to be dangerous, and I found even more information that I did not know. So I'm so excited to share this with you guys today. Okay. Well, first of all, on the Misheard song itself, hilarious. I've been hearing that bean enchilada version for years, and it's actually now on t-shirts and cups. So obviously it's hit the popular pop culture. So it's one of those things, but it kind of works for both as well. But the question is, what is the song about? So we all know just by listening to the different lyrics that there are three main verses of the song. Verse, a man, we don't know his name. He's bored with his current relationship with his lady. So we're assuming it's the wife or girlfriend. We're not sure for sure. And how he says in the song that it's just become routine and he wants some variety. So one day he supposedly is reading a personal advertisement. So remember, this is the 70s. We don't have the swipe left, swipe right apps of today, in the newspaper, and spots an interesting ad that says a woman is seeking a man who, of course, loves pina coladas. That's why the name of the song is called that, among other things like making love at midnight in in sandy dunes, which sand, you just know sand gets everywhere. I'm just saying. And he's intrigued. So he's like, I'm going to reply to this ad and have this lovely lady meet me at the local bar O'Malley's, only to find out that the woman is, plot twist, his current partner that he's bored with. And then the song ends with an upbeat note showing the two lovers, wow, we have a lot in common, and that they did not even suspect that they had all these things that they love to do. They just obviously didn't talk to each other. So we'll go on to that even more, because I'm amazed how nonchalant they are. They just laugh it off, like, oh, because in the verse, it's the third verse where, he's singing about, oh, it's you. And then they kind of laugh it off. But I'm like, I've talked to many friends and we're just like, no, it just can't be that you're just, gonna laugh it off after you found your significant other, or at this case, wife or husband, was the one that was, you know, also gonna cheat on you, and then you find out it's both of you. So one of the things that Rupert Holmes says on the plot twist is, this is what he says, quote unquote, "I like to think that they looked at each other with chagrin and then realized that before either one of them runs off to find some fantasy that probably doesn't exist in reality, they might reinvestigate their own relationship, because there's a lot there they haven't yet explored. I think it's a happy ending with a footnote. They both are a little shocked, but neither can point the finger too hard at each other, because they're both willing to try a new relationship, and happily their possible indiscretion led them to each other." That's Rupert Holmes' thing of it. The interesting thing is there actually is a couple, a true life couple back in Jordan. I don't know if that's Jordan somewhere in the United States or Jordan, the country, who began trolling chat rooms back in the day and met and fell in love with each other. And when they finally met in real life, they realized same thing. They were married to one another. And unlike this song, they actually ended in a bad divorce. Okay. So, and again, the verse, it's the third verse. So the verse is, "So I waited with high hopes, and she walked in the place. I knew her smile in an instant. I knew the curve of her face. It was my own lovely lady. And she said, ah, it's you." Yeah, ah, it's you. So then there was much debate on the internet about that reveal. Many people have felt like I felt very strongly, and debates that I've had with my own karaoke family and friends about, I would be pissed. But then I guess you both were trying to cheat on each other, so should you be pissed? But my favorite take on it is a gentleman by the name of, what's his name? Mike Seeley. He wrote back on June 16, 2015, so about 5 years ago, for the Broward Palm Beach newspaper, that titled, "I don't like pina coladas, and neither should you." So he goes on this tirade of the why, and he's pretty much writing what we are all thinking about. So he first says, you know, for me, I would have thought they would have gone into fisticuffs, but he says it in a very funny way. So he first says, let's just assume the couple is named Cliff and Sheila. Okay. And so he states, this is what Mr. Seeley writes in the article: "More realistically, Cliff and Sheila would have heatedly questioned each other's fidelity right there in that restaurant. You got it. After all, they'd shown up in hopes of railing a stranger that they finally accidentally recognized. After so much time together, some common interest only goes to amplify their severe communication problems. If they laughed that off and said, okay, we're toast, but how about a night of pina coladas and dune sex before you pack up the bags and split? Fair enough. Plenty of couples share a nostalgic salvo before permanently parting, but the notion that they somehow rediscovered why they fell in love in the first place through a classified ad is baloney, and ultimately decided to get married. Rest assured they ended up divorcing bitterly." Touche, Mr. Seeley. Touche. I agree. So you want to hear how the song did? Let's hear about the charts. Now, the song shot up in the U.S. charts, becoming the country's last #1 Billboard Hot 100 hit for 1979. So they were the last #1 of the decade of the 70s. And then Escape was knocked out of this top spot before returning to the #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 during the second week of 1980, so a new decade, having been displaced for a week by Casey and the Sunshine Band's "Please Don't Go," which is the song we just talked about in episode 45 when we found out that 90s band KWS covered that song. It was also, as I said, the first pop song to ascend to #1 in the Billboard 100 pop chart in 2 different decades, so 70s and 80s. The song was the U.S.'s 11th best selling single of 1980 on the Billboard Hot 100. So let's talk about a lot of did you knows and backstories, because this is where it gets juicy. Just when you think you knew everything you knew about the Piña Colada song. So did you know that the song was featured in many movies and many shows? So here's some to name a few. I knew Shrek, Guardians of the Galaxy. It was in his mixtape that he would listen to regarding his mom, which I guess, fun fact, the lead of that movie did not like the song, but he had to act like he did, so that's funny. Grown Ups, Like Father, Third Watch, The Goldbergs, the list goes on and on. So it's definitely a song that is very dear and dear to everyone's hearts. The song was also featured in radio and supermarket commercials for Bounty paper towels in 2019 and 2020. I did not remember that, so check that out on YouTube. I bet you can find it. And then recorded for Holmes, like I said, Partners in Crime, 1979 album. The song came from what Holmes said, an unused track for which he wrote temporary dummy lyrics. So this version from The Law of the Jungle was released as part of his cast of characters. It's a box set that came out in 2005 and was inspired by the want ad, read while idly scanning the personal list. As Holmes put it, quote unquote, I thought what happened to me if I answered this ad. I'd go and see it was my own wife who was also bored with me. The title of the song was originally supposed to be People Need Other People. So, and was later to be revealed that it was a true story. Okay. And the chorus originally it was supposed to say, if you like Humphrey Bogart, which Holmes changed at the last minute, replacing the actor with the name of the first exotic cocktail that came to mind and fit the music. He said with the original lyrics, if you like Humphrey Bogart and Getting Caught in the Rain, as he was getting on the mic, he said, I thought to myself, I've done so many movie references to Bogart and widescreen cinema on his earlier albums that I shouldn't go there. So he changed it last minute. And he thought, well, what can I substitute? So when he was looking, at the lyrics again, he's like, well, this woman wants to escape. She wants to go on the vacation on probably the islands. When you go on vacation in the islands, you want to sit on the beach and someone asks you what you like to drink. You've never ordered a Budweiser. Maybe some do. You don't have a beer. You're on vacation. You want a drink with a hollowed out pineapple with the flags of the nation and a parasol. If the drink is blue, you'd be very happy, and a long straw. I thought, what are those escape drinks? There's the escape. Let me see. There's daiquiri, Mai Tai, Piña Colada. That's what we're going to use. I wonder what a Piña Colada tastes like. I've never even had one. I thought that instead of singing If You Like Humphrey Bogart, with the emphasis on like, I could start it a syllable earlier and go, if you like Piña Colada. So that's how it became to be. And before the song became a hit, there weren't many places you could get a Piña Colada in the U.S. And lo and behold, after it, you can find this fruity drink everywhere. But something to note in 2019 that Mr. Rupert Holmes still says he does not like to drink Piña Coladas. Ironic. Another backstory I found I wanted to share with everyone was this interesting story that came out from songfacts.com. And if you haven't gone to this website, I love it because it also delves into a lot of songs out there. Sometimes misheard songs will be, described there, but it's the backstory. And there was a lot of backstory on this. So let me share with you. So this began as what we found out earlier. The song should have been called People Need Other People, which Holmes wrote earlier. But what I thought was interesting is when Rupert Holmes had an interview with songfacts.com, he said, quote unquote, the drummer, Leo Adamian, suggested we should have two drummers on the session because it was an interesting beat that was hard to pull off with just one drummer alone. So when I hear the drums, yeah, it makes sense, two drummers. We got the second drummer and we did one take of the tune. It had some very interesting chord changes and changed keys several times. And I'm singing away this lyric, people need other people. We go in to hear back the first take and we listen to the cut and I say, we can definitely do better than this. And I look and I see that the second drummer was unconscious from having too much fun, maybe too much Piña Coladas. We were able to wake him up and get him into a taxi, and that was that. We weren't going to record any more of that track. I figured I'd just put the song away. I wasn't that crazy about the lyric anyway. Then I found that I really desperately needed another up-tempo song on the album, and the budget was getting low, and I wasn't sure what to do, because remember, a lot of studio time that they have to pay. That's when we did something that now is pretty commonplace, but was pretty unusual at the time. We did a very primitive version of the sampling. I found that there were 16 bars of music on the first take that was very tight. Everybody was in a very nice groove on it. So we duplicated those 16 bars onto another multi-track master over and over again and edited them all together. I think there were 60 edits to make up a reel that was 5 minutes long of this 16-bar vamp. I went through a million lyrics in my head. I wrote one song that went, that's the law of the jungle in the school of the street. You get out of the kitchen if you can't take the heat. I thought it sounded a little too much like a Billy Joel song. I wrote another one, everyone needs a victim. I believe you will find when you're cruel to one another, you're cruel to be kind. Right as I did that, I remember there was a hit record out called Cruel to Be Kind, so I couldn't use that. So now it's the day before the last scheduled day of the recording and I had no lyrics. Because the song is just the steady vamp, I realized that I've got to make the lyrics the focal point of the song because the music is repetitive. Remember, they've just copied and pasted, copied and pasted. I was in my apartment and there was a copy of The Village Voice. Sometimes I'll look at the personal columns to get ideas for songs because people fascinate me. I saw this ad that the woman had placed in which she described herself in such glowing terms that I thought to myself, now why on earth, if you're this wonderful, do you need to place an ad in the personal columns? Try not to be cynical, I thought, let's be fair. Maybe she's just looking for an adventure. Maybe she is as wonderful as she says, but she likes the idea of meeting a stranger and seeing what fate has in store for them. She wants something out of the ordinary. Then I thought to myself, what would happen if I answered this ad? And I thought, with my stupid luck, I would answer the ad and find it has been placed by the woman I was living with, never realizing that she was bored with me. Ha! The story sort of took hold of my mind. People always ask me if it was based on something true, and I know that they would love to know it was based on a true incident, but it wasn't. So interesting. In this one, he says it isn't. It was based on the what-if scenario that I conjured up in my mind that evening. So that's how it was born. And great insight because, again, back in the day with these ads, you had to do a lot of writing back and forth. And I think they added calling each other, leaving messages in the 80s, but that was in the 70s. So you had to wait. And unless people sent pictures of themselves and did what they did, meet me at O'Malley's, they wouldn't know. So it could happen. So hopefully you learned a lot. I did, and I'm glad I'm not the only one pissed off about the couple just being all nonchalant after they're like, oh yeah, we just found out it's just you at the bar, and we were totally gonna cheat on each other with other people, but now with each other. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If there's any other great misheard songs, please let us know. And please, if you're on iTunes, please subscribe to us because the more subscribers we have and the more nice reviews you share with us, the higher we get there, and we get some great listeners. We have some listeners from all over the country. So I'd love to hear from you, and keep on singing those songs wrong. Bye.